Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Let's take a look around my UK tropical star garden in April.
Great northern exotic, botanist vibes hypnotic. Cacti in the crib, got the desert.
Well, the sun is shining and I'm in my garden in the beginning of April, and I thought I'd do a quick walk through to show everyone how the garden's getting on, whereabouts we are in terms of the year. And I've just done a big tidy up because the garden bins have been collected again. So I'll start with the sunny border, and as you can see, we've now got some good growth on the Musa basjoo. Apologies for the dog barking, by the way. You can see there that they've pushed out fronds. We've got some down there on the secondary pseudo stems as well. So everything's coming along really well. I think looking ahead, we've got some nice warm days in the high teens, but we do have a few nights down to 0, so we're not in the clear yet, but we're nearly there. And you can see, looking here, the lupins are doing well. The giant scabious is pushing out its new leaves. Persicaria red dragon is doing really well. I should really split this and move it around the garden, but that's a job for another day. And this is a Euphorbia shilling guy that's coming out, and it was really interesting actually. I was looking back at a few of my previous garden tour videos from April 2 years ago, and things are a few weeks behind, I would say. Even though we've had a decent weather of late, we're a couple of weeks behind where we have been usually. You can see, let's keep looking around here, we've got the Tetrapanax. The 2 stems are doing really well with several leaves coming out, and they didn't die back at all. Actually, they regrew from the growing point, so that's good to see. Even though it was a pretty cold winter, I think having just a little bit of overhead protection from the Trachy did really well for them. I've cut back the Euphorbia red hot poker. You might spot a few of my slug traps around. I'm just testing the waters with a beer traps to see if any slugs are knocking about at the minute. But yeah, the fatsies are all looking nice. I'm thinking of maybe cutting back the fatsies a bit and making sure we don't lose. I've just had bare trunks here. I'm trying to kind of keep the foliage looking full there. And then we've got the Miscanthus giganteus, which you can see is pushing out to the limits of its area. It's hit the metal framing of the path there, and yeah, I think it probably needs maybe next year a bit of a refresh, kind of get a spade to it and break up the clump and turn it around and move it in different directions, because I kind of feel like this is going to be a bit bare here in the middle this year. My bridge does need replacing. I think that's a little job coming up. Need to get all these off. I thought I'd got all them, but no. Right, please help me with my Trachycarpus gigantea. This is my Trachycarpus gigantea. I know they flowered about 4 years ago, give or take. This is obviously a little seedling, but I don't know if it looks healthy or not. It seems solid in the pot, like it's pushed out roots definitely and bedded in, but I'm not seeing much new growth this year. I can't see any new culms. So if anyone's growing Trachycarpus gigantea, do let me know how yours is getting on. And hidden behind it is just a small Musa basjoo that was protected with a few leaves, and it is solid and pushing out the next leaves there onto the Wisteria. That's how my Wisteria is doing. That's where it is at the minute. I'd like to know if anyone's in a similar stage of planting. A little bit of jasmine. The sunny decks all set up for summer. Taking the temporary roof off there. There will be a roof on eventually, but as you can see, if we sit here in the corner, there you go. Can barely see neighbours. And that's without much growth this year as well. Let's head over the bridge Down here is the Arundo Donax that I can't see much signs of life yet, but it always seems to start a little bit later than the Miscanthus. So who knows? It's solid though. It'll come back nicely this year. There's my small trachy. I've got a small Tetrapanax that has died in there, this little stem. So I'm hoping for pups this year, we'll see. And then a lovely big Euphorbia, Trachycarpus wolfenii. Now this is going to be an interesting area this year because it's given me a little bit of height on this fascia, which means that I've got a little bit of underplanting I can do there. So I've got some sonchus that I might put in the ground for the summer. I'm thinking of cutting this back to give the Euphorbia mellifera a bit more room to grow, to fill this space. But you see the cardoons in there are already doing really well. And we've got a lot of ferns under here, so I might add a few more shady plants. Now here's the Gunnera, Gunnera tinctoria, and I've just put up this little frame. I mean, in hindsight, I planted it too close to the path which will be done this year, hopefully, with bound gravel. But yeah, I'm just trying something out by maybe propping up these early leaves and getting them behind this little fencing that I've built. Yeah, but in hindsight, I would have probably put it a little bit further back and definitely not under a eucalyptus tree, which was a mistake. But it will get watered every day over the summer, and I'm glad to see it's kind of growing backwards into that space back by the fence, by the fence there. But it's pretty big and doing really well. And if we move around, you can see that I've cleared away some of the detritus, but you can see there's a little barrel pond with various things in there, lots of newts in there. We've got the elephant ears there in flower, and then if I zoom in there, you can see we have got the Miscanthus lutearia parius, or however you want to say it. It's doing really well. Got about 20 culms, and there'll be definitely more later in the summer, but that's from one rooted piece of, I don't know, piece of plant material that went in, and yeah, it's definitely filled. If I sort of climb over, you can see that it has filled right to the edge of the barrel, so it's definitely a runner, but it's well contained in that barrel. If you're growing it, it definitely doesn't want to go in the ground. Anyway, that's my view. If we move around a little bit, I'll take you around to the desert bed, the arid bed that hasn't been uncovered yet. And as you can see there, it's still got the cover on because we've got a couple of 0 degree nights. We've got a -1 degree night, and of course just that little light frost. I just don't want to tempt fate, but it will be off, I think, by the end, probably by Easter, I'd say. And if we head under, the first thing you might notice is that the Apuntia ficus indica has a lot fewer pads than it did this time last year. It was wrapped in fleece, but most of the pads from last year and the year before rotted. You can see that I've got a couple left over there that have sort of done. They'll go in the bin there a bit, yeah. The ones that are left, these pads that have been remaining, don't look healthy, but they're solid, and they're at least 3 years old or 4 years old, these ones, and they're a lot thicker. If you can see the sort of, yeah, I mean, they've got a decent size to them. So maybe that was the difference, that the thicker pads just kept from freezing where the thinner pads didn't. But I lost a lot of pads. I maybe saved 3 that fell off. This is what's remaining, and you can see as we go further in, everything else looks good. Both of the Agave americanas have taken little to no damage, perhaps apart from, like, you know, the old leaves that were touching the ground. Same with the variegated one. If I zoom in there, you can see looking pretty immaculate, really. We've got the yuccas, linearis or lineafolia, and we've got there a little young rostrata, which looks a lot better than the bigger rostrata that I've got there. That's never done really well for me for some reason. And this is the Hesperalo parviflora. I've snapped a little bit, but I'm hoping to get some nice flowers from that this year. We've got the Euphorbia mercenites, and we've got a few other bits down there. Everything's looking really nice, so I'm looking forward to getting this cover off. I think one thing I am going to do is I am going to sell that Washingtonia, because it was always going to be a temporary thing, and long run I'd like a big agave at the back there, either the Montana or the Avatifolia as the big centerpiece, the big agave, and I will replace it. I'll take these americanas out at some point when they get too big, because I'm not a big fan of how they look when they're a little bit bigger. So that's the plan, to dig that out, replace it with something, and maybe rethink the bed a little bit. See it from this side as well. We've got the Aloe striatula there, and we've got Apuntia facantha here, the Apuntia vulgaris here, which I got from Asda, both of them totally unprotected in winter, apart from obviously the overhead, and they did really well with -6. So that's definitely a plant that I'm going to put into the ground now it's survived. In the pots it looks pretty well bulletproof for me so far. We've got the Serencia Brookii there, the sort of barrel shaped cactus, which did really well. This Agave funkiana, which I think is a subspecies of Lophantha. I had to put that, it looked a little bit ropey at -6. I put it in the greenhouse for a few nights, but apart from that it's been outside all summer. We've got a few things going on in the greenhouse. I'm not going to talk too much about it. A couple of Sonchus down there, and Calopanax down there, and my crassulas and things. But it would be nice to get this. I have given them a little water actually. There are the pads, look, of the Ficus indica drying out. So when they're calloused, I'm going to plant them up. But yeah, we're nearly there, folks. It's nearly time to get going with gardens. So that's it from me. A little update in April. If you've enjoyed the video, do look back at my previous ones and do consider giving this a thumbs up. But I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, everyone.